Welcome back to the channel. Thank y'all for hanging with me on this Sunday. So as promised yesterday, I'm going to give you the full rundown on my baits that I caught them in the 2-day BFL here on Guntersville. This old school snag proof Bobby's Perfect Frog with those big hooks. Key to catching everything that bites. And I'm going to give you the other two baits that I weighed in some fish on. But today I had to come in 3 hours early. I had some mechanical issues. I was about to run to my next spot and I went to crank the boat and it wouldn't turn over. It beeped, but that was it. So I went back to check and see if there was a loose connection or something, and I got shocked. So I got a wrench out and I was trying to tighten down some nuts, and it didn't matter if I touched the negative or the positive, I was getting shocked. So I thought maybe that had something to do with the ground. So I got the wires off the ground, and I hooked up another battery. I took one of the batteries out of my trolling 24-volt system, hooked it up, got it cranked, and I didn't have a trolling motor battery then, so I couldn't use my trolling motor. My co-angler had a good bag of fish. I had 13 pounds, which is not gonna keep me inside the top 10 or push me into the top 10. I was right there on the bubble, but it is what it is. I've fished over 100 tournaments out of this boat, and I've never had an issue getting back on time or any type of mechanical issue. So it's 10 years old now. I know it's getting older, and I know things break, and wiring and that type of thing is only getting older and nothing lasts forever. But I've seen this happen to guys with brand new boats. So I think this could happen to anybody. I got it. The motor turned over. I didn't want to then try to switch it back and just use a trolling motor by the ramp, because then our fish wouldn't have any fresh water pumped on them. So we came in about by the time we made back the ramp, about 2.5 hours early, which I'm super upset about that, but we still had a good tournament. I'm very fortunate to catch in 2 days 33 pounds 2 ounces. So today I weighed in 13.1, and the fishing was completely different. So the first day caught a limit fairly quickly on this frog, probably weighed about 13 pounds, and then switched areas. I was fishing in the upriver section of Lake Guntersville, and I caught 13 pounds on this frog. I think a lot of those fish were resident fish. And then I made a switch at about 9:30 to go to a different area, and it was a deep area. So what it was a ditch, and there were a couple things happening. The grass is dying and the water's dropping. So I think a lot of those fish that were up on that flat in that mat were losing habitat and were losing water. So that pulled them out to that deep ditch. And I caught all these fish flipping isolated mats and the hard line of mats with 1.5 ounces. And then that's a gambler stinger. That color is called Killer G, not Giller G, Killer G. It's kind of a Bama bug swirl. It's green pumpkin and June bug. And I caught probably 25 fish yesterday punching this. So I culled out that 13-pound limit. I culled a couple, a 3-pounder. So I think I culled probably like a 14.5-pound limit all the way up to 20 pounds. And that's what I had yesterday. So it was all punching and frogging to get me started, but everything that I weighed in came punching. So whenever you have a really good day, the fishing's amazing. Be weary of that, because what typically happens after a really good day is it's done. That's going away. So that's a good indicator a lot of times that, especially in the fall, maybe in the spring, more fish are going to load, but this was all these fish that were up on the flat, swam to the deep water, but no new fish came in off the river. It was what was there. Those fish pulled into me. I had to catch a ton of fish to get up to 20 pounds, and I just sore mouthed them. I don't think there was anything left there. We stayed there till 10 o'clock today, and it was bare bones. So that's what I did yesterday. So today we had 2 line burner keepers at 10 o'clock, and I decided to run down the lake here to get into the creeks and flip some of that submergent vegetation near the creek channel. So what I do, and if you watch any of my videos, it's typically an ounce jig, a big hook, big line, 50-pound test, 7'9" flipping stick, and I flip that outside edge. Now I think that bite's going away too. You know, these fish are losing their mind. They're getting on bait. So in the summertime, they really relate to that structure and they get right on the edge of the grass. As the fall goes on, more and more fish just push off. So the ones I were catching were kind of skinny. I don't think they're the ones out there chasing bait. They're just sitting there trying to stay cool on these hot days. But I would have liked to have 2 more hours. Would have, could have, whatever. It is what it is. So 13 pounds a day. And again, I'm happy with that for 2 days, 33 too. So it's an okay tournament. But I've talked about this a lot lately. Whenever you're on a flip and bite, look for different types of cover, different types of structure around the cover. And don't put all your eggs in one basket of, I'm going to go flip for fish that are in 4 feet of water in this type of vegetation. Find some vegetation that's isolated out in 6 feet of water. Find some that's shallow, that there's a hard edge, and then go look in the other parts of the lake for something completely different. So today the jig bailed me out in that deeper vegetation that wasn't necessarily topped out or punching. It was out on the edge of the channel. And then the first day was all about punching those mats that were in shallower water, but also on the edge, but topped out where you had to drop a weight through it. So that was it. Guntersville in the fall, flipping and frogging. It can be good when it's on. When it's not, it can be super tough, but it's something you should always check when you come here. Try that, guys. Good luck to you, and I'll see you on the water.